Start.
Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone, and welcome back to today's monthly meeting. Today is August the 14th, 2022. Next slide, please. All right. So this is going to be our agenda today. So we're going to be introducing all of ACS-YA. We're going to be talking about the Youth Health Media Contest. We're going to also be talking about the Youth Conference event. We're also going to be talking about ACS Relay for Life and Luminera event that's coming up. And then we're going to have Richard present the ACS-YA, Richard and Alyssa present the ACS-YA start presentation. And then we're going to also be talking about how to increase retention for ACS members. Next slide, please. Okay, and here are just some housekeeping rules. So right now, please type your name, grade, and school in the chat box for attendance purpose. And then please change your screen name so that we can identify you. Please mute your microphone during the presentation and be mindful of background noise. We encourage you to turn on your camera to fully participate and position your camera properly. And then please note that we will record and take photos of this event and keep a record of the chat during the conference to use for the program awareness materials, both in print and online, including our social media platforms. If during this event you would like to ask a question, please feel free to either type it in the chat box or save your questions for the end of the meeting. Next slide, please. Okay, so American Cancer Society offers opportunities for top middle-sized high school students. And with increased competition in the college application process, ACS offers ambitious and good-natured students the chance to boost their application efforts. And then ambassadors can also combine their passions and talents for sports, science, and or the arts with community service to bring new energy in the fight against cancer. Next slide, please. And then here are just some ways that you can get involved in ACS: active participation, volunteering, leadership and skills training, being an advocate to build impact and affect change, fundraising for a cause, follow and subscribe to our different social media platforms, and also get the word out. Invite other peers and other friends to participate. Next slide, please. And then to join ACS-YA, if you want to join the Youth Cancer Health Ambassador Program, please complete the form that I will put in chat right now if you haven't done it already. And if you have any questions, you can email acsforchange@gmail.com. Next slide, please. And then service hours. So this is every meeting. You will get 1 hour of volunteer service. So this meeting also counts as one of them. And then here is the volunteer guide, so you can read about how this works. And then after every event, you want to complete the tracking form so you can get a volunteer hour. Wait, let me send the form. So the form that I sent below is how you track your volunteer hours. And then now I'm going to present some of our ACS-YA advisors and mentors. So we have Ms. Ling Wu, we have Sophia Green, Ms. Irene Ling, and Dr. William Tsai. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah. And then these are some of our ACS-YA leaders. Next slide, please. Okay, and then now I'm going to be talking about the Youth Health Media Contest. So sign up by September 3rd individually or in teams of 2 to 4 people. And the Youth Health Media Contest will be hosted online on Sunday, September 11th from 1 to 4 p.m. via Zoom. And then we're going to actually be doing our display gallery and final awards. It will be presented on September 17th, 2022 from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Arcadia Community Center. Next slide, please.
So we will be posting the link, the artwork and waiver submission link in the chat box. If you have any question, please also email to acsforchange@gmail.com.
Okay, and then for registration, so the contest theme for this competition is it's healthy living, cancer prevention, early detection, and health equity. So for contestants, you have to be in either elementary, middle, or high school. And then for the registration procedure, you want to sign up at the link below that I will send in chat right now. And then there are different formats you can do. You could either do a flyer/poster, a video, or social media. And then the team leader is actually required to collect waiver forms from all members in your team, which is this Drive Google link. And then you want to upload it. You want to upload the waiver forms to this Google Docs form. And then please register by Sunday, September 3rd by 11:59 p.m. And then teams can be 2 to 4 people. Next slide, please. And then for the format, so if you're going to be doing a poster, it has to be max 24 inches by 36 inches, at least 300 dpi. And then the video should be 3 to 6 minutes long. And then the form for the submission link I already sent down below. And then if you have any questions, of course, just email acsforchange@gmail.com. And then, as I said before, the final contest date will be 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. On Sunday, September 11th. And it's going to be online on Zoom. Next slide, please. And then this is the Youth Health Media Contest. So we need some help in judging awards and then the post-event video. So if you're willing to help and step up, please email ACS for Change. Next slide, please. And then now we're going to be talking about the annual virtual conference. And then for the annual virtual conference, we also need help for the final event plan and then the post-event video.
Alyssa, are you online? Maybe you can help Ryan to present.
Oh, do you want me to go over the agenda?
Yes, please.
Is that on the next slide? Okay, so our annual youth health conference is coming up on October 8th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. PST. So here's an overview of what events we will be holding. So we'll be starting with some highlights from the Youth Multimedia Health Contest, followed by our keynote speaker, who will be talking about AI health careers and applications. At 2 o'clock, we will be holding a vaccine panel with 2 vaccine specialists, followed by a youth performance at 3 o'clock. At 3:15, we will be focusing more on tobacco, where Ms. Rodriguez and her youth group, Antelope Valley Partners for Health, will give a talk about their smoke-free efforts, and then which will be followed by a youth presentation on tobacco by our American Cancer Society youth ambassadors. And lastly, we will end with a Kahoot and some announcements.
So next, I think we will pass it to Ling, right?
Yeah, this one's going to be passed on to Lynn to present the multimedia contest.
Okay, I think the multimedia contest already covered very, detailed. So I think we can skip this. You already mentioned everything. I guess I just need to mention on my volunteer chart, I saw Sophie volunteered, Sophie W. I see on this call, volunteer for leading the screening once we receive the submission. So Sophie will lead the screening. I just want to confirm that because I think, when we're close to the a submission deadline, maybe you want to have a meeting about, talking about how to do the screening. So Sophie, can I confirm that you will be leading the screening process?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then also the 9/11 judging event, Gina, I don't think she's here. Gina signed up to lead that event. So I guess we'll contact her to make sure she's still, on board for leading that event. Okay, so that's all I want to say about the contest because all the other aspect was covered. Okay, so can we go to the Relay for Life?
Yes, I think here the slide talking about the overall planning about the youth media contest. September 3rd is the submission deadline. We still need a lot of people to participate. So if you have a chance to, any artwork you wanted to submit, or you wanted to encourage your school classmate, friends to do it together or submit, and then please share the information. Help us as a youth ambassador. We want your help. Share the information, ask more people to participate this contest. And then September 11th, and we're gonna to have the contest online, like Ryan presented earlier. And then September 17th, Ling is gonna talk about the award ceremony at the Relay for Life event.
Yes, I will talk about that. Okay. So let's go to the next chart and the next, I think. Yeah. Okay, next. Okay, so Relay for Life, here is the link. So participants should sign up and join the relay, because now you have opportunity of getting t-shirts. There's participant t-shirt. If you're a committee member, you can get a committee leader t-shirt. And if you're a survivor, you can get a survivor t-shirt. But anyone who wants to get a t-shirt need to sign up so that they have your information in the system. Basically, they need to know your name, your email address. Email is most important because that's how they, recognize you. Email address and some other information. You need to sign up as a participant and identify you're either leader or you're a youth or if you're a survivor. Okay. And then if you qualify for a t-shirt, if you raise more than $100, you qualify for a free t-shirt, then they will send you an email and ask you to give them information so they can send you a t-shirt. Same thing with survivor. Okay, so it's very important for you to sign up. And I think we need to create I don't know, we have already ACS-YA team. If we have a team there, then I hope the ACS-YA members would consider to sign up to the Relay for Life to show your support. And if you are coming to support the event, I really want you to support, to sign up to the event. Okay, and this is the link. Okay, next, please.
So, Ling, can you check if there is this year if there is a team link for the ambassador program? So that's number one. And second, we wanted to also talk a little bit why it's important to submit this course. So we are all volunteers for this, like the youth ambassador program, to submit this, to support this mission, because we really believe the cause. And why we're doing it is because, like, we want to have a platform, so you can also be supported to be a future leader, to support the cancer prevention and control, and also help us to prevent cancer. So that is very important. The fundraise part is part of the mission that we wanted to support American Cancer Society. American Cancer Society is a national grassroots organization, and they have done a lot in the community, national level, county level, and then to help our community to get healthier, to prevent cancer. So without our support from the grassroots level, from the regional level, they would not be able to do the work in a higher national setting. For example, the ACS can. So they did a lot of, for example, they did a lot of advocacy work in DC, Washington, DC, pushing a lot of things to make it happen for cancer prevention, cancer treatment. The other thing is they also invest a lot of effort and money into cancer research. And so all our effort in the grassroots level is very important to submit that mission, to support that mission.
Yeah, and by signing up, you show your support. Of course, we hope everyone can help in raising funding, but even not, the number of participants are also important. And we want to show that young people support this event. The youth participants also is a great number to have to say, this is an event that youth supports. So, you want to sign up to show your participation. You don't want to be anonymous, person. Although you do so much work, but you don't want to show that you are part of this. It will be people would not know that the organization has your support. Okay, so so it's to everybody's credit for you to sign up if you support it. So I already posted the link to the ACS for Change team. So I already signed up a team, ACS for Change. So all our youth can sign up as a participant, okay, to this one. And if you would like to lead a team yourself, for your friends, for your classmates, for any other, for your church organization, you can totally do that, okay? But if you want to join our youth team, I already have a link there. So I posted the link here. So maybe I'll ask Ryan to put it in the package so that you can have that too, okay? I already posted there. Okay, so this page is the flyer. We're collaborating with Lions Club this year. So I actually have another a flyer, but this one is the flyer that shows Lions Club collaboration. And basically it gives you the basic information. Location is the Arcadia Community Center. Basically it's in a ballroom. We estimate maybe 300 people will show up. We don't really know. And the time is 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And I'll give you some details of our agenda, next page. So can we go to the, yes.
Yes, Link. I thought that the time has changed. Is it still 10 to 6?
I'll tell you the detail because at 10 a.m., if you can go to the next page. So basically the ballroom will not be available till 1:30. The volunteer will be there setting up from 11 to 1:30, and 1:30 will be the opening ceremony, okay? But we want to do a youth media contest award. So it depends on what's happening in the youth media, like nobody participate or a huge amount of people participate. We don't know. But basically, I still allow a time, a location. I talked to the community center. They will give us their lobby because all the rooms were booked. But they agreed to give us a lobby to do our multimedia contest event if we decide to have an award ceremony there. So, I'm putting here 10 a.m. But basically, it will be an invitation only because we'll be serving lunches to this youth media event, okay, the award event. So, anybody who comes, we will know who comes, how many people, okay, because by invitation only. So I put 10 a.m. there, and probably 12 p.m. will be serving lunch to whoever participate in this contest award event and the volunteers. Okay, so I put it there, but it will not be in the ballroom. It will be in the lobby, and the center agreed to let us use their lobby. So that's why there's a change, okay? But the relay itself, the opening ceremony will be 1:30 because they have an event till 1 o'clock. They don't want to, clobber the parking lot. So we'll start the opening ceremony half an hour late with opening ceremony. So we probably at 2:30, we try to make the opening ceremony as short as possible, but we want to do, talk about our AAPI initiative. We want to introduce our committee, okay? And we want to have some community leader to come and say a few words and maybe a survivor speaker. So, but we'll try to make the ceremony as short as possible. And then we're going to introduce the team. We may have a survivor walk, okay? Survivor walk with all the team following it. We're still designing it. But so far, this is our schedule. And 2:30, hopefully, we'll have a big cake to celebrate survivors, because they celebrate every birthday is survival, right? They survive another year. So celebrate survivors' birthday is a very important indication, it's a symbol. So we will celebrate survivor birthdays at 2:30. And then about 3 o'clock, we have a classical music concert, famous baritone, Mr. Jay Young, okay? And he's gonna bring some singers and to sing a classical concert, about 45-minute classical concert. And also it will be very meaningful. It will show appreciation, you know, and it will be prayerful, which will lead to luminary ceremony, where we will have bags with lighted electrical candle, you know, around the room. And on the bag, we will write the people we want to remember. It can be someone we lost, want to remember them, or will be a survivor. We want to celebrate that life. We want to support them. It can be that. And you can also put a message on the bag. And we would like to collect as many bags as possible. And so we are asking people to submit a name and a message. And if you want to donate, you can. It's a $10 donation, okay? You don't have to donate, you know. I just want to collect as many names as possible. And we're going to make it a very prayerful event, a luminary ceremony. Then we'll have actually a tea party, which I didn't write here, but we're going to serve afternoon tea, you know, to everyone there. And then we'll have entertainment. And right now we already collected some entertainers. You know, we have classical dance, and we have youth dance team, and we actually have Arcadia band. You know, so we already engaged several entertainment people, and we actually, I think we collect some youth. Alisa, I think Alisa was going to play. Somebody's going to play flute. Was it Alisa?
Yes, that's Lisa.
Yes.
She
So,
promised us.
yes. So, you know, we're collecting this entertainment. And of course, we want to ask them to submit a video so we can, you know, we want to screen, of course, make sure we have good entertainment. So, you know, it will be a very exciting event. And we are looking for leaders, because we have a pretty big committee. I already have a committee, you know, I have chairs for, you know, registration, for food, you know, for entertainment. You know, we actually have quite a few leaders. And I asked Matthew to be our online chair, because you know, people will be signing up online, teams will be signing up online. We need an online chair to take care of some of the issues that can come up. And so we do have youth leader, and I invite you to consider joining, you know, the leadership team, because this will be to your credit. And also, like I said, each leader would have, committee member will have a T-shirt from American Cancer Society. Okay, and right now, luminary ceremony, I don't have a leader yet, and I really would love to have a leader who will help us with the luminary ceremony, which is designing a very prayerful event with lighted candle, and also organize volunteers to you know, draw the bags. You know, we'll have bags available. You can write the name and the message on the bag, and then we'll put a candle in it and line it up around the room, you know, to make a really pretty place. Okay, so I'm looking for a leader for that. Okay, is there another chart? Yeah, so let me know if you're interested. And this is, again, a detail about the luminary ceremony. If you can make it bigger, you know, there's three purposes. You know, support, you know, remember people we lost, and support the survivor that's fighting, and also being prayerful. We pray for those survivors. Okay, and there's a link here that people can submit the name and the message through this link, and donate $10. And if you don't want to donate $10, just send me or Sophia or the ACS for Change email, and then we will take those and make the bags for you. Okay. So, and again, I'm looking for a leader for that. And the time's about 3:30. And so all the music and things like that will kind of lead into this, you know, very prayerful event. Okay. And is another chart? I think not. So I want to make another announcement, not on this chart. I just talked to Matthew. We have a website for Chinese unit, acs-ccu.org. So if you go there, you can see we already have some huge amount of content there from the past. Okay, but we would like to update the website to include, you know, our videos, our announcements, and things like that. But the person who was doing it is not doing it anymore. So we took the control back, and I'm looking for a volunteer to help us, you know, take over the website. And apparently he's using a software called WordPress. I don't know it. I don't know if you know it. Anyway, if anyone's interested in helping us updating a website, and we're willing to learn. Let me know. We have the password and things like that. I'm looking for a leader, someone to help us with that. Okay. Any questions? That's all I have. And Sophia, if you have any comment, okay. But that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So next we're gonna to have our ACS-YA stop presentation, and Alyssa and Richard, are you online?
Yes.
And Richard, would you like to start introduction?
Yeah. All right. So ACS-YA Stop is our youth program to stand up to prevent tobacco use in cancer. Next slide. And so in general, what our mission is first of all to advocate to everybody, especially the youth nowadays, because they're our target. We need to prevent them from going up, keep smoking. And multiple studies have demonstrated that if people don't smoke before they're teens, they will probably not smoke again in their life. And so to do this, what our ultimate goal is to prevent tobacco and vaping. And in the end result, we're preventing cancer. We're preventing these drugs like tobacco from causing smoke that will damage lungs, cause multiple types of cancer. And so we do this through education and cessation support with multiple programs, such as the SPA3 that we'll talk about later. So I think I'll just hand it over to Alyssa now for today's meeting.
Next slide, please. Okay, so hi, my name is Alyssa Chu, and I am an incoming high school senior at Westchurch School in Pasadena. I started as a youth leader this past summer and am excited to continue working to promote tobacco cessation. Next slide. Okay, so today my presentation will be on nicotine addiction in the brain. So just an overview of what I will go through during the presentation. I'll be discussing the definition of addiction, talk about the physiology of addiction, addiction myths and the effects and its effects, because as drugs can leave long-lasting effects on the brain, especially as a teenager. Next slide, please. So what is addiction? According to the National Institute on Drug Abuse, addiction is defined as a chronic relapsing brain disease that is characterized by compulsive drug seeking and use, despite harmful consequences. It is considered a brain disease because drugs change the brain. They change its structure and how it works. These brain changes can be long-lasting and can lead to harmful behaviors seen in people who abuse drugs. Next slide, please. Okay, so next is a video. I'll just give a brief overview before we watch the video. So the brain is important as it continues to grow and develop during adolescence. Anything you put in your brain changes and it makes you that much more likely to become addicted. This video explains how addiction is a disease and uses alcohol as an example, but the same is true for nicotine products.
And please bear with me. I'm in the middle of changing the slide. Please let me know if you cannot hear.
Is the video playing? Because we just see the picture right now.
It's important to understand that everyone in the world has addictions, or rather natural addictions, to things that are good, like food, water, and sleep. These natural addictions are important for our health and survival, and without them, we would not hunger or crave the things we need to survive. Now, we aren't exactly born with these natural addictions. Our body creates them. Let's look at an example. When you bite into an apple, your brain says, "Yum." Your brain recognizes that this apple is good for you. It has nutrition, vitamins, and gives your body the energy it needs to survive. Whenever the brain recognizes something that's good, it releases a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine causes you to experience pleasure. It's what makes you feel good, like when biting into an apple. The brain releases this dopamine in order to teach the body that this is healthy and good for your survival, and that it should remember to do it again. Now, there are other things we do that can release the pleasurable dopamine, like playing video games, exercising, or reading a good book. However, the amount of dopamine released during these activities is less than what's released when we eat food. The brain does this so it can recognize which is more important. So if you go 2 days without reading a book, or 2 days without eating food, your body is going to crave the food over the book. As such, your brain creates what's called a hierarchy of survival, which ranks how important each of these things is to your survival. Now, there are some things that will not cause the release of dopamine, like eating soap or punching yourself in the face. The brain knows that these things are not good and therefore does not release the pleasurable dopamine because your brain does not want you to do it again. Now, let's look at alcohol, marijuana, tobacco, and other drugs. These are all classified carcinogens, proven to cause cancer and other fatal diseases. Now, your brain should recognize that these things are harmful to your body. However, these substances have special chemical characteristics that fool the brain into releasing dopamine, oftentimes in much greater amounts than the body has ever experienced before. Because of this, the body is fooled into thinking that these things are good and important, sometimes even more important than food, water, or sleep, and consequently hijacks the #1 spot in your survival hierarchy. So now, if you go 2 days without eating or 2 days without drinking alcohol, your body will actually crave the alcohol over the food. This is an extreme case of addiction, where the person addicted believes that they will die if they don't get it. The severity of the addiction depends on where the alcohol or drug lies within your hierarchy of survival, and can increase even with casual use. Research shows that people under the age of 21 are at the highest risk of having their survival hierarchy hijacked. Why? Because their brains are still growing and developing and are hypersensitive to false shocks of dopamine caused by these harmful substances. By 21, the brain is more fully developed and mature, and the survival hierarchy becomes more permanent and less susceptible to getting hijacked. The flip side is that once you are 21, it becomes very difficult to remove these harmful substances from your survival hierarchy. Studies show that 9 out of 10 people who currently struggle with addiction started drinking, smoking, or using before the age of 21. Understanding addiction as a preventable disease can help save millions of lives. The decision to wait until 21 could mean the difference between a life enslaved by addiction or a life full of success and accomplishment. Want to learn more? Visit us at wait21.org.
That's a very good video. I love it.
Okay. So before we play the next video, just a brief overview. So next, we need to understand the connection between the reward pathway and addiction. And there's a part of the brain called the reward pathway, and it basically operates when you do things that make you feel good. So, and whenever you do something that makes you feel good, you release the neurotransmitter dopamine. And when dopamine releases, we are more interested in doing that same event over and over again. This pathway was developed evolutionarily to help us pursue activities that would help us survive. However, drugs like to hijack and take control of our reward pathway, so we no longer have control over it. For example, when a drug is used, it causes dopamine to be released, and that is why people might initially feel good after using a drug. However, the brain continues to crave the dopamine release afterwards, and the user slowly loses control over their choice to use drugs.
To understand the complexities of addiction and its neurobiology, it's important to understand the brain's reward pathway. Information travels through the VTA area to the nucleus accumbens to the prefrontal cortex. These reward pathways make us feel pleasure and are activated by stimuli such as food, water, or sex. These same areas are also involved in addiction. Alcohol and drug use changes the way the brain works. You can see a normal functioning brain on the left and the abnormal functioning addicted brain on the right. Prolonged use of alcohol and drugs also changes the structure of the brain. You can see the normal healthy brain structure on the left and the abnormal addicted brain structure on the right, which could be long-lasting.
Okay, so now we are going to take a closer look at a few of the common myths about addiction and see if we can use the information we learned from the videos to come up with responses to the misconceptions. So, the first myth is, what could you say to someone who says addiction is just a lack of self-control? You can either put it in the chat or just unmute and say it.
I would say that everyone has different reasons for getting addicted.
Yes, I definitely agree. Does anybody else have a response to this myth?
Yeah, if nobody else is gonna go, I'll just chip in. And so like when you're addicted to something, it's really hard to get off of it because of course, like as it's defined, you're addicted to it. And even if you try to control it, sometimes a lot of the time, because it's a chemical, it's chemical addiction that has altered the brain. A lot of the times, it's very hard to get off of it, and that's why it's truly a myth. And they need to get help from professionals, especially, or just outreach with their friends, with their family, because it's not something that they can deal with themselves a lot of the time.
Yeah, I agree. So like drugs and nicotine can alter your brain's chemical makeup because it kind of fools your brain into releasing dopamine. And this isn't something that you can necessarily control because it's just a biological response. So the next myth is, what could you say to someone who says, if I only use a drug occasionally, then I can't be addicted? So again, feel free to put it in the chat or just unmute.
Is there anyone who wants to answer the question? Okay, if we don't have anyone, I'll just give my input. So if when you use a drug, oh yeah, sorry, we have somebody in the chat. If you can read theirs first.
Okay, so Harrison in the chat says, honestly, it depends on what drug it is, such as smoking once won't get you addicted to tobacco. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, so I just like to modify that statement a bit. Of course, it's better if you don't smoke at all, right? Because there's obviously a higher risk. If you do smoke once, you're more likely to smoke a second time. And so that's especially true for these drugs. If you can say you're smoking occasionally or using a drug occasionally, but your use will become more frequent over time. And especially as we've seen, the law of diminishing returns. If you use a drug, you're gonna have to use it more often in higher dosages as time goes on because you become more resistant, more used to it. And also, it's especially concerning because drugs actually, when you use them occasionally, sometimes this reinforcement, like you just continue to think of it, hey, I can use this occasionally and I'm not addicted in that mindset, is often very prone to addiction. And so we want to avoid using drugs, completely avoid all of that risk in the first place.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, even though you say you're still using it occasionally, you're still using it like repeatedly, and soon it can become harder to control the more you use it. And then the last myth is, what could you say to someone who says it's always easy to tell when someone is addicted to a drug?
Anyone? Feel free to type in the chat. Also, thank you, Harrison, so much for responding earlier. No? Well, does anyone have an idea of what of what happens if somebody's only taking a little bit of a drug, or how people are, as Alicia has said. So Alicia said, you never know how people are feeling inside, and it's totally true, right? Because you don't see them outside of when you see them, like, oh, you see them at school or you see them at work, but you don't know what they're doing when they're not in public. You don't know how they're feeling exactly. Yeah, so does anyone have any thoughts on like how it can be invisible, right? Because it's not like obvious that somebody is addicted, right? You can't just go on the street and say, hey, I can see that person is taking cocaine or something. Okay, yeah. So do you want to read Ryan's response? Looks like
Sure.
a good one.
Ryan says, if someone's taking only a small dosage of a drug, you can't really notice if they're addicted to a drug. You can only notice it if someone's abusing drugs a lot, and you can see the changes in how they act. Yeah, I think like the severity of the addiction also varies from person to person, and sometimes, like when an addiction isn't as severe, it could be sometimes hard to spot. Okay, next slide, please. So here's our last video of how addiction starts and more about the biological reasoning behind it.
What is addiction? It's also called a substance use disorder. Over 20 million people nationwide suffer from addiction. 1 in 7 people will experience addiction at some point in their life. Scientists first began to understand addiction as a brain disorder back in the 1950s. Doctors Olds and Milner, in laboratory studies of rats, found the parts of the brain affected by addiction. But then in 1994, Doctors Volkoff and Shelbert, top neuroscientists, ran PET scans of the brain that showed the effects of substance use disorders. And like other diseases, these scans showed it affected tissue function. So there are two main parts of the brain affected by drug use: the limbic system and the cortex. The limbic system, located deep within the brain, is responsible for our basic survival instincts. So when you do essential things to stay alive, like eat, drink, find shelter, build relationships, or care for your young, your brain reinforces behaviors that cause the release of dopamine from this region. That reward for surviving is also transmitted to the amygdala and hippocampus, which records a memory of that feeling, so we seek it again. This is our survival hardwiring. Addiction also affects this area, up here. That's the prefrontal cortex, which is what separates us from other animals. And this is where decision-making and impulse control live. When drugs or alcohol are used, they activate the very same dopamine process in the survival center. And when use is repeated, that substance can hijack that part of the brain. This hijacker changes the brain and weakens this system to make it believe that the primary need for survival is the drug. In hijacking the brain, it can usurp those primary motivations: food, water, shelter, relationships, and protecting our young. And the hijacker needs more and more of the substance to activate the same level of reward or feeling of pleasure, causing the brain tissue to become increasingly damaged with continued drug use. So why don't all people who use alcohol or drugs become addicted? There are factors that contribute to the development of a substance use disorder. They include individual factors like your genes, your age of exposure, and then environmental factors like drug availability. But there is good news. Addiction is preventable. Key factors that aid in preventing addiction can be categorized into two parts: risk factors and protective factors. Protective factors range from parental involvement, programs that improve self-control, limiting availability, and increasing attachment to your community. Another key element in preventing substance use disorders is to delay when use begins. Put simply, prevention is about delaying the onset of first use. In the adolescent brain, where brain tissue is more vulnerable, the hijacker is more prone to weaken the brain and plant itself as a disease. Those with substance use disorders commonly initiate first use much earlier, between 12 and 18 years old, which increases the likelihood of the hijacker taking hold. But if the hijacker does take hold, addiction is treatable. Advancements have been made in assessments, treatment programs, recovery supports, and medications to treat addiction. Brain scans show that once in recovery, the tissue in the limbic system and cortex can get better. With your help, we can expand these innovations to help millions of individuals and families and ensure that addiction is treated as the medical issue that it is. Together, we can solve this. Join us.
Okay, so now we have a Jamboard discussion with two separate questions. So one of them is, when you hear the word addiction, what things come to your mind? And the second question is, can you list possible ways that addiction can affect us physically, mentally, emotionally, academically, socially, and financially in both short-term and long-term? So I believe the Jamboard link has been added in the chat, and today's Jamboard discussion is on slide 6 of the link. So if you want to, you guys can start adding your answers to these questions on the Jamboard, or you can also put it in the chat. Yeah, so I see somebody's put on the Jamboard heroin, LSDs, alcohol addiction. So yeah, those are all different forms of addiction. Gaming is also a form of addiction as well. And yes, dopamine is definitely related to addiction. Oh, gambling as well is also can be an addiction. I also see someone's put nonstop, ignoring much more important things to do. So yes, people with severe addiction, it can often like take over their lives, and addiction can be one of like the only things they think about. So does anybody want to list some possible ways that addiction can affect us physically, mentally, emotionally, etc.? Oh, I see Alicia put in the chat that first thing I think of when I hear addiction is gacha addiction, like gambling. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, addiction can definitely have a lot of physical impacts, including preventing us from exercising and paying attention to our health. That's definitely a big one. Someone also said addiction can take over our academic lives, causing our grades and performance in class to drop. Yeah, that's especially true for youth and teenagers these days. Someone else also said hindering our mental focus on whatever we do, overtaking what we value most. Definitely. Oh yeah, someone else put in the chat, emotionally feeling confused, depressed, guilty, and irritable. Yeah, addiction can definitely have a lot of mental impacts and emotional impacts as well. Also in the chat, someone said being addicted to tobacco leads to degradation of organs such as the lungs and liver from alcohol addiction. Definitely. And I think a big one is just like smoking in general can also lead to lung cancer. I see someone else also put reducing our social connections and communications. And someone else also put poor relationships. So yeah, I definitely agree that tobacco can have a lot of social effects as well, because addiction can ruin relationships For example, like some friends may not want to be around someone who smokes and who puts their health at risk. Okay, I think we can move on. I think we have all really good answers. So next slide, if possible. Okay, so last slide is just an overview of some different news articles that have recently come out about tobacco. So the first 3 articles are about some different tobacco regulations and bans that have recently been passed. So the first article talks about federal and state level governments and agencies are starting to act on this problem of nicotine addiction. For example, the first article reports on how Michigan has raised the minimum age for tobacco sales from 18 to 21, as well as other regulations such as prohibiting anyone under 21 from entering a tobacco retail store. The second article talks about how the US Food and Drug Administration has ordered the Juul Labs company to remove their vaping devices and pods from the US market, as the company's products are and never have been regulated by the FDA. And they only stayed on the market because they were pending review, but have now been banned. However, the company is currently trying to appeal this decision. However, not everybody is excited over this victory. And this is where the third article states that not only youth use Juuls, but many adult tobacco users turn to e-cigarettes to help their addiction against actual cigarettes. And although vaping is still very harmful, current studies suggest that it can be a less dangerous way to consume nicotine for people who are already smoking. In summary, there are a lot of mixed opinions about this ban, but e-cigarettes are harmful either way. And lastly, this last article talks about the detrimental effects of tobacco, not only for our health, but for our environment. Tobacco products are the most littered item on the planet, containing over 7,000 toxic chemicals that leach into our environment. Cigarette filters also contain microplastics and make up the second highest form of plastic pollution worldwide. The takeaway is that cigarettes and tobacco products have many more negative effects than you think, other than your health. So I will also put the links of these articles in the chat if you want to learn more about tobacco in the news. Okay, so thank you all to these different organizations for supporting the ACS Youth Ambassador Program, especially Miss Alexis Stewart for helping me with this presentation. And I hope you all learned something new about nicotine addiction today. Thank you.
Thank you. Really great presentation. Thank you very much. Sophia, I think we should put these recordings on social media. You know, maybe we can send a link to Katie Lynn to post them, because these are really great information.
Okay, so yes, we will be all the meetings will be recorded, and then will be on our channel. And lastly, there is one more slide that we wanted to go over. Let me see what's going on with this slide. And then Ryan will be presenting for us. Let me put it on. Sorry that I have to switch slide because once this is on the Google Drive, and then the YouTube video will be lost. And hold on a second, something. And the computer is adding up. So let me see if I can present this here instead. Okay, let me just do this one because it doesn't allow me to do the presentation mode. Ryan?
Yeah, here. Okay, so generally like every year we do the annual virtual conference and we get like lots of people, right? We get around like 70 to 80 people. But then after that, during the monthly meetings, the participation dwindles down, right? We usually only have around like 15 participants in every monthly meeting. So what I was thinking is that to increase retention, we could do something like this. So we would have cahoots for every monthly meeting, right? And then the people who get top 5, right? First place gets 50 points, second place gets 40 points, so on and so forth, right? So fifth place, last they get 10 points, right? And then so every year the 3 participants like in the cahoots with like the most points, like most cumulative points throughout the whole year, they get different prizes. This could be like a $50 gift card for the first person, a $40 gift card for the second person, and then a $30 gift card for the third person. And then the good thing about this is that we could like create cahoots based on the information that we present during the monthly meetings. So this requires people to actually have to pay attention during the meeting to do well in the Kahoot. And this also makes more people, want to join it and want to like join these monthly meetings and participate, right? Because there's actual like, an actual incentive to participate during these meetings. And then we can track the points of each participant through a spreadsheet.
I think that is a really, really great proposal, Ryan. And I think, first of all, we would like to know if there is any volunteer and every month to be our Kahoot leader. And the Kahoot leader that we would like to recruit will need to prepare like a Kahoot game for each of the monthly meeting and also our youth conference, media contest, and then that will be the person, the leader. And also the Kahoot leader will be helping us to keep track who is earning these points at each of the games. And at the end of the year, and then they will be he or she will be able to let us know who won the the highest to get the highest points and then get the gift card. Any volunteer? Or maybe Ryan, you can help recruit somebody.
I mean, to be honest, because I also like, help compile the slideshow, I could probably just do that, right?
You can do that, yes, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So each of the meeting, because you know that we only have 1 hour, and then like we have the presentation and of the ACS-YA stuff, and also some of the announcement. So each of the Kahoot game for each of the meeting, I think like we wanted to limit it to 5 minutes to 10 minutes the most, but like really like we wanted to make it short. Otherwise, like we don't have enough time.
Yeah, I could just make it like a 5-question Kahoot.
Okay, sounds good.
I will also say some of the questions may be, say, from previous tobacco training. Like we learned something about addiction, so maybe that can be part of a question, in a Kahoot game. That's one thought.
That is a great idea.
And another thing is, I want to say I'm the one who give out prizes. Saying those Amazon gift cards, electronic gift cards, and I was kind of late, but I know I'll clear all my doc. I send out all the gift cards I'm supposed to send. But I think some of the people probably do not check their Amazon email or something. Not all of them take their card and use it. So I just want to remind people, if you think you won something in a previous events, then if you get an Amazon email, you want to check it because it may be a gift card inside. Okay.
Yeah, remember we have a survey, and then if you complete the survey, you're supposed to get $5. And I do not know, Ling, have you also sent the award for the Wellness with the Staff program. So those participants and also will get the gift too.
So
So
the
there
other,
are different opportunities.
the only thing I
to
didn't
earn.
send out is the 3 dance team for the wellness of staff, because those like hundreds of dollars, and we were going to invite them to the Relay for Life and give them a check actually there instead of giving out Amazon gift card. So
Oh,
besides the
nice.
3 teams, everything else was sent out. Okay, the $5, the $10, the $25, all sent out. So if you
Thank you,
use,
Lynn. It's a lot of work.
yes, okay.
So make sure you use it.
Yeah, make sure you use it.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. Anyone has Ryan,
Yeah.
we need to work with you since you will be the leader of the Kahoot game, and then so we need to plan for of course, the Kahoot game for the media contest and also youth conference, and that is a separate, right? We will have some of the gift card aside. It's separate from our monthly meeting, and then the next monthly meeting we're gonna have probably in November, because September we're gonna have the youth media contest. The October we're gonna to have the youth conference, and then the next meeting will be November. So November will be the first time that you're gonna to launch your retention program.
Okay.
You did a great job. Thank you very much, Ryan. Very good job.
Yes.
And everyone else.
Thank you so much, Alessa, and also Richard. Everyone else prepare this meeting and attend and also participate in this meeting. Thank you. Have a good weekend. And look forward to see you in the youth media contest. Please make sure if you wanted to participate in the contest, the last day of submission is September 3rd. And then invite more people to participate. Spread the word, help the ACS-YA to spread the word. And then we look forward to seeing you on September 11th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.